everyone. Welcome back to Fear Given and Rethemed. We are your hosts, Casey and Sean. And for those of you that this is your first episode, we talk about haunted attractions, oddities, and all things horror.
So thanks for checking back in with us. And today we're talking about Graveface Museum in Savannah, Georgia. We've been there a few times now, right?
Yes, we've been there a few times. The first time we went in May of this year. And the second time we went with friends.
Just recently, probably about a month ago.
In October.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really fun. We're going to be talking about the museum itself and inside of the museum and everything that we liked about it, and we'll go through each room and kind of explain all of that good stuff. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it.
All right.
Okay, so I'm pulling this from their website, and we'll link the website on the show notes so that you can go through it and take a look at it. So their story, and I'm taking this from their quote, whatever. The Graveface Museum is an informative and immersive glimpse into the human condition through actual artifacts and decades worth of research on topics ranging from true crime, cults, sideshow history, 1950s roadside attractions, secret societies, and the occult. If you are interested in these topics and open to learning new things, you are guaranteed to walk away with knowledge, stories, and experiences you can't find elsewhere. The museum is home to the largest collection of John Wayne Gacy artwork and personal effects, as well as the largest collection of artifacts from the Ed Gein case on public display. Our goal is to educate those who strive for a deeper understanding of these very specific parts of history. This museum is a safe place for anyone who is curious to objectively learn about these events, people, and aspects of humanity that too often get glossed over, shrouded in misinformation or sensationalization, which often arises with these subjects. Sorry, guys. There's also a free play horror-themed pinball and arcade room included with admission as a perfect palate cleanser after deep diving into some of these dark parts of humanity. The museum is mostly self-guided, but there are 2 portions of the museum that are guided with a brief 5 to 10 minute tour conducted by staff members who can answer questions that arise during your visit.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of stuff to dive into, but do you have anything to say about their story and how they got started?
Not necessarily about the story, but just the kind of the outside walking in.
Yeah.
We had very little expectations. It took us a while to find it, and when we were kind of walking up to it, it's very intimidating.
It is.
We almost second-guessed even going in. When we got into the gift shop, it was a lot. It was
Yeah, and they get that a lot. They said that they're located in an alleyway, so
and
it's
for
very
us, it was
sketchy.
the middle of the day when we first got there. And at night, we've been there both in the middle of the day and late at night.
And both pretty sketchy.
Yeah, it's almost like it reminds me of kind of like a Jack the Ripper back alley of England.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, so inside it is, you walk in and they have like a huge door on the outside.
Yeah.
And it looks like
Almost like a castle door.
Yeah, like a castle door. Sorry. And then you walk into the lobby. I guess you wouldn't say it's a lobby, it's a gift shop.
It's both, because they're selling tickets there.
Yeah.
They're collecting tickets there.
And they
it's
have
the entrance and the exit.
Yeah, and it's oddities and all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, taxidermy on the walls.
Taxidermy, yeah.
That was the place that had the, like the Bert and Ernie, not mask, like puppet head.
Yes, so they collect a bunch of old antique items, and it's just really cool.
A lot of oddities in general.
Yeah, it's really cool to look at. Like, you could probably stay in that, like, section or in the actual gift shop for at least 30 minutes just looking at stuff.
Oh, yeah, because they have stuff jam-packed kind of underneath shelves, up above, everywhere.
Yeah, lots of stuff to read too.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about inside the museum?
Yeah, so inside of the museum, like I said, you walk into a gift shop and stuff like that. Um, but there are, I want to say like one, two, three, four, I don't know, like
Yeah,
10 exhibits.
that sounds accurate enough. We can probably break it down when we get to the main exhibits. We may recount that. But yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to read through the paragraph you've got there?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so, yeah, you can read that.
Okay. So as you know, if you've been to the Graveface Museum, we are the world's largest collectors of John Wayne Gacy artifacts. We own everything that was in his cell at the time of his execution, all of his company documents, travel records, receipts, 237 paintings, 1,200 plus letters, over 60 hours of unheard audio tapes, never before published, and much more. The collection is now over 10,000 pieces. One of the most important items we own is his logbook. You've seen this hanging in the museum if you've been. Inside this logbook, he details every 5 to 15 minutes of his life on death row, but perhaps more importantly, keeps a log of all of the artwork he made for people.
Wow, and that room is crazy.
Yes. Did you know on their website now, if you are in process of purchasing what you think is a John Wayne Gacy painting, that they will actually help you certify its authenticity?
Yeah, that's really cool. I noticed
Yeah.
that when I went back on the website and saw that. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool."
And I would guess it's because of the logbook
Oh, probably.
they own.
Yeah, and there's so many because his paint. If you've never seen a John Wayne Gacy painting, it's very. He did a lot of Disney.
It's unique. For
Very
sure.
unique, but it's not that unique, really. It is and it isn't.
He
Like,
definitely has his own style.
yeah, and
He was really good at it.
a fun fact about those paintings that we learned the second time we went is that inside of the paintings, like for instance, he has a bunch of paintings where he painted the seven dwarves,
Mm-hmm.
and in I think at least one of the dwarves' hands
Is a shovel
is a shovel.
instead of a pickaxe.
Right. So yeah, that's just
He
weird
almost
to
threw in
me.
like little Easter eggs
He
of his
did.
own story in there.
It's really, really fascinating.
Yes. A lot was going on in his head.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's crazy to actually be like next to one of his paintings. I don't know. It's just weird, kind of eerie. But, okay. Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay, so going through the exhibits, and we'll start from after you get past the gift shop
Okay.
and all the way around, if that works.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I'm not going to spoil too much if you do want to go. I'm just going to kind of explain a little bit about what each room has. But I'm not going to go like into full detail with everything. So just so that you're not like, you know,
Yeah, it's not ruined for you.
yeah, it's not ruined. So the first room is like a taxidermy room. It's a collections of oddities and attractions. So I think in there, I think my favorite piece is the big cow. I forgot her name,
I don't remember that.
but she has,
Like, I remember the cow, but I don't remember the name.
yeah, like three. What does she have?
I
Like
think she has two heads.
two head. No. That's one of the. Anyways, there's taxidermy in there that has like two heads or, like an extra limb or something.
Yeah, like kind of a sideshow type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any favorites in that room?
In that room, I don't think I have anything specific, but I do remember that whole room reminds me of Dinner for Schmucks
Oh yeah,
and all the little taxidermy
the
mice.
taxidermy mice. Yeah, that's really cool. And then there are some real items in there,
Mhm.
but there are also replicas too. So some of it's fake, some of it's not. There,
There is a little hidey hole
yeah,
that they typically, when they start you on the tour, they usually talk about the little hidey hole and when they were kind of renovating the inside of the building
mm-hmm.
that they found this. And they can give you a lot more details than we can. We've got to look inside it twice. There was a record in there that we
Yeah,
have heard them play.
which is really cool because
It's
nobody else has really heard
it's
it.
kind of like to us it sounded like a sermon.
Right. It sounds like
And maybe some tongues in the background. That was kind of hard to
speaking in
place.
tongues, yes.
Yeah. It was very eerie.
It was
to
very
listen to.
weird to listen to, but yeah. So they found that, I guess, and they kind of like tried to decipher it, and they just that's all that they can come up with is that it was like some sermon of sorts.
Yeah, and they only have like a little window for you to peek into, so you don't actually have full access to that area in the little hidey hole. You just
Yeah,
kind of
no.
get to look in. You're not allowed to touch anything. They haven't taken
It
much
looks like
out.
it looks like a little altar.
It does, because a lot of people leave items really throughout this whole museum. You will find items just kind of placed as offerings, I guess, to different items or different
Yeah.
people or beliefs, things like that.
Yeah, kind of like the Conjuring house
Yeah,
where
I
you
forgot
place
about that,
money
yeah.
everywhere. Yeah.
So yeah, that
The-
was probably the extent of that room that I remember.
Yeah, and there's also not voodoo, but hoodoo,
Mhm.
right? Hoodoo items in there too, and it's very interesting. But the next one, there is a little side room too, like before you go into the hallway.
That one's about UFOs, right?
Yes, it's about aliens and UFOs. I don't think there's anything like
There wasn't a lot
crazy
in
in
there.
there, but
They did have a few props that were kind of cool, but nothing
yeah.
real or substantial that I recall.
No, it's just kind of like a cool thing. So, do you want to talk about the next one?
Sure. So after the UFO room and the taxidermy, they have an entire room dedicated to the Church of Satan, and specifically Anton LaVey. He was an American author, musician, and Satanist. He was the founder of the Church of Satan and the religion of Satanism. And Satanism has several different denominations, if you will, similar to how Christianity has Methodist or Presbyterian or Southern Baptist. Not all churches believe exactly the same things, and Satanism is similar to that. So the Church of Satan they don't put much stock into the Satanic Bible that they've come up with. They're Anton LaVey was very kind of anti all religion. So for him, it was, we don't have a historical text, we don't have any official text. And when you ask them, do you believe in God? Do you believe in Satan? His answer was, we really don't know. Like, there's no real evidence to support anything from his standpoint. So they are anti-Christian, but they're also anti-all religion.
Right.
So in that room, they do have rules and principles and beliefs that they have kind of set up. And it was interesting to see the difference between growing up in the South and kind of the Bible Belt. It was interesting to see the difference between what we were taught to believe about them versus what they actually believe.
Yeah.
I think growing up, I was always under the impression that they had altars for the devil, and
Yeah.
like that was their big thing, was Hail
Yeah,
Satan.
they all hail Satan. Yeah.
And not really close to the actual truth at all.
No, which is very interesting because I remember the first time we went in there, I was
You were
so
weirded out.
scared.
You didn't want to stay in that room very
I
long.
didn't. I did not want to stay in there. I didn't want to look at anything. I didn't want to touch anything, and I didn't want to read anything. I kind of
Right.
just
You just skipped past the whole room.
skipped past it. But the second time we went, I felt more at ease with it because I
Yeah, you
knew
know where
a
your
lot better.
beliefs
Yeah.
lie, and you know you're not going to be thwarted or, what's the word? You're not going to be led astray
Yeah.
or led into something that you are unsure of.
Right.
So at this point, it's more of just learning.
Yeah.
Like, we don't, obviously, our beliefs don't align with that room,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean that we can't understand where somebody else's belief systems lie.
Right. I'm gonna respect you no matter what. I mean,
Right. You don't deserve any less just because we don't agree on something.
Right.
So yeah, I think that room is super interesting.
It is very interesting.
There's a lot more to it than what they even have in there. But the owners are really good friends with, I believe, Anton LaVey's grandson.
Yeah, I think they mentioned that.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. So whenever there's new historical items that was from the family, Graveface usually has first dibs on being able to set them up and display them. So that's kind of cool.
It would be so cool to just like own a museum and just
It would.
collect all of these cool things.
That would be really fun.
Oh, so fun.
Do you want to talk about the next room, also in the Graveface family?
Yeah, so in the next room there is, I don't really think that there's like a theme to this room. I'm not sure. I think it's more of like the dead. I think that's kind of what it was like.
Yeah, because they had redone this
They
room.
did have a rites. What are those called?
I don't know.
Like the rites, like with the holy water and the Bible and a cross or whatever.
Yeah. The I don't remember what they're called, but yeah, when
Yes.
you're kind of going through your last will and testament type of thing.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I think they had that there, but yeah, they said that this room was redone a couple of times, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't this set up the first time we went. I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember either.
But yeah, we only really got to see it this last time.
Yeah, and inside is a casket and the actual real skeleton, and I'm like being serious, it's a real skeleton of Mr. Graveface. The owner, Ryan Graveface, that is his great grandfather. So he was Mr. Graveface. I think his first name was Michael, wasn't it?
I don't remember. Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Michael Graveface. He was a dedicated Oddfellow, and when he passed away, he donated his remains to the Oddfellow Lodge he belonged to. It was used in rituals over the years, and when the lodge closed down, they got in touch with Ryan's family to see if they wanted his remains back. And I think most of Ryan's family members were like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
And so Ryan was like, all right, sure, I'll take it. And then
he's got a perfect place for it.
yeah, perfect place. And so now Mr. Graveface is in this location, and he's just chilling there.
Yeah, spirit and all.
Yeah, like literally.
So after that room, there is a haunted display case, which has
Really
a
cool.
ton of cool stuff. They have a lot of dolls. We're big fans of that.
Creepy too. They're like really creepy.
Yeah. And then the coolest thing in there, other than the dolls, a few other objects, kind of random, and then some haunted photographs, was a painting made by Ed Warren in 1989. Is that accurate?
Yeah,
Okay.
on the actual painting, it says like on the bottom right, I think it says 1989
It's pretty cool.
or something like that. But he was an artist, and he
Yeah.
did some paintings. There's actually also a piece of, it's like I think a typed infograph or something for Ed and Lorraine Warren when they started out their career, for paranormal career and stuff like that. And it's in display there, and he actually like drew something on it, I think.
Well,
It was
that's
like
cool.
a little
I didn't notice
haunted
that one.
house or something like that. Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, that gives me the heebie-jeebies looking at the case, because I don't know, most of them are making eye contact with you, and it's just like literally everything in that case is haunted.
And even our guide that we've had both times, she was like, I don't like this case. I don't like anything about it. I don't like the things in it. I don't open it. It's
hope
under a lock and key, so.
Yeah. And I will say that this whole place is haunted, like very haunted, but
Yes.
not only because of the things inside of the museum, but how old the actual building is in itself, and
the city
itself.
The whole city of
the whole
Savannah
city
has
is
a lot going on.
Yeah. Okay. And right next to that is the pinball room, which has at least like 15 to 20 horror themed pinball machines that you can play for free. I mean,
Yeah.
it's included in your admission, but Yeah, you can just hang out there for a little bit and play, and then head up to the oh no, in between that there's a freak show exhibit, which I didn't really. I mean, I liked it, but you didn't see that.
Mm-mm.
It's just a hallway right in front of the Ed Gein house.
Oh, oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, there's like a freak show exhibit. It had like the lobster boy memorabilia or something like that on it. So
that's pretty
yeah,
cool.
we don't have much to say about that, but you want to go on to the Ed Gein exhibit?
Sure. So the Ed Gein exhibit was one of the ones where you had to wait outside this kind of two sets of rooms, or one set of room, downstairs and upstairs. And when they had enough people, they would have a guided tour that took about probably 10, 15, 20 minutes to do.
Mm-hmm.
So Ed Gein is an American serial killer and grave robber, and inside it features a replica of one of his most gruesome murders. And upstairs, you actually get to see case files, real case files
Yeah.
from the trial and from the investigation. There's not a whole lot to the Ed Gein evidence because
No.
of a big fire.
Yeah, it got destroyed.
So the one thing that they do have is, what is it, a lock of hair?
Yeah, it's
That
a
was a
lock
keychain?
of a lock of hair that was a keychain of his, and they don't know if it was from one of his murders or one of
Yeah,
his
they don't know if it was one of the victims or
victims
not.
or his mom,
Yeah.
because he was very like a mama's boy, I think.
Yeah, the traits between the people or the girls that he murdered and his mom were very
Mhm.
similar,
Yeah.
so probably some
It's a
telltale.
very, very gruesome. If you don't know anything about him, he's a very gruesome
Yes.
person. Even in the exhibit downstairs, they will give you a fair warning because they do have a full replica of one of his most gruesome murders, and
Mhm.
it is not for the faint of heart. I mean, it's fake, obviously, but it is not. It's not fun to look at. It's very disturbing.
Yeah. At
So.
the end of this episode, we'll talk a little bit more about our favorite museum exhibits, and we have some fun facts about the Ed Gein exhibit specifically.
Hmm.
So what came after the Ed Gein exhibit?
So you go out and then you go up the stairs. And then upstairs is more of like the true crime cult area.
Mm-hmm.
And they have, that's where the John Wayne Gacy room is as well. And up there it features information and real items from crimes as well as cults like Heaven's Gate and Jonestown. In Heaven's Gate they have a real, I think, recorder or like a jukebox or something that
Mhm.
they have from the actual like place that they
Yeah,
had,
they have the
Heaven's Gate.
last recorded sermon, I believe, up there.
They do, yeah. And in for Jonestown, they have a pair of his real glasses,
Mm-hmm.
and they have actual juice things.
They have the
The
packets that they use to flavor the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. And this is, if you don't know what Jonestown is, if you've ever heard the phrase,
Don't drink the
don't
Kool-Aid.
drink the Kool-Aid, that's what that's from. Having, just crazy. I mean, there's so many
Yeah, it was essentially
documentaries on this, but
an instance of enforced mass suicide, and then he would psych most of his parishioners out
yeah.
time after time. So after a certain point, they would be like, "All right, are you willing to die with me?" "Oh yeah, sure."
Mm-hmm.
"All right, we'll drink this Kool-Aid." And then time after time, they would do
Drink
it.
the
They would do
Kool-Aid.
it. They're like, "All right, he's never going to do anything. So what's the point?" And then there were more politics involved. They came to check up on people that had gone missing in the group when they moved to the Jonestown outside of the U.S. And that's when he was like, "All right, we're doing this," and it all went down. So don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, don't drink the Kool-Aid. It's very weird.
Yes.
Heaven's Gate is also weird. It's just, there's so much that goes into that cult, but
Yeah, they're the UFO cult, right? Where we're all gonna go. We're all gonna be brought up by a UFO. Heaven's Gate.
I don't think so. I think that was the one. Oh, it might be.
Yeah, Heaven's Gates was. I can see the guy, and I can see his eyes. He's just crazy looking.
Yeah.
They were out in California, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. We want to do episodes on cults.
We do.
Once we get through a lot of the haunted attractions and things that we've done this year, we'll try to go after probably the lesser known cults and then maybe work our way up to stuff like Heaven's Gates, Jonestown, stuff like that.
That would be cool. There is a wall of Ted Bundy stuff. And they did have, I read this somewhere, but I don't remember where I read it at. That they used to have a bunch of Ted Bundy items on there, like in there, but they had to take it all down.
Wonder why?
Because, well, I don't know where I read this from, and I don't know if it's like legit or not, but women would go in there and they would like pleasure themselves to Ted Bundy's, like, I don't know where I saw that from.
Well then,
if I find that, I will link it into the show notes, but I read something like that and I was like, oh, that's crazy. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but
super strange.
It's a little weird.
All right, so what came after the true crime exhibit?
I'm not done with the true crime exhibit. What are you talking about? There is
You didn't finish the true crime exhibit?
Stop. Okay, so the John Wayne Gacy exhibit is the last thing that you go into, and they have, like I said, tons of paintings that he did in prison and various items belonging to Gacy. They're also currently working on a documentary because of all of the different items that they've gotten from Gacy. So they, on their website, if you're interested on getting in, a glimpse of their documentary or actually like seeing the documentary. I don't know that they're done with it, but they have a subscription that you can put in your email and they'll send you updates on that.
Yeah. So what's next?
So next is us talking about they offered a after hours tour and investigation, and I was really excited to do this because the first time that we went, we were really interested in a lot of things there, and I thought, well, we were looking for investigations to do, like paranormal investigations around the city, and I found this and I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. So we did it the second time we went, and so we're just going to talk about our experience with that and kind of what we used and how it went and what we enjoyed about it.
Yeah, and we've done a few investigations at this point. We've done one in Orlando. We did kind of a minor one in the actual Conjuring House in Rhode Island. So this will be, our third one at Graveface, officially, I guess?
Yeah, I guess an official investigation.
All right. And would you say that you're more of a skeptic or more of a believer?
That's a good question. I think I'm more... Nothing has really happened to me, but after this investigation, I became more of a believer.
So if 0 was skeptic and 10 was believer, what were you before Graveface?
Oh, I would say like a 4.
Okay. And what are you since Graveface?
A 6, maybe.
Okay. That's not too bad.
So I just haven't had anything happen to me,
yeah,
anything that I can relate to. Yeah. So
that makes sense.
What about you?
I think I was a 2 before Graveface.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then maybe up to a 3 or a 4 after.
Okay, yeah.
I like thinking that there's more.
Right.
Behind the paranormal and things like that.
But so many things can be debunked just from just...
And again, until it happens to me as a not public figure, if you can tell me something about me that I know you're not going to be able to find online, then maybe I'll give a little more stock into it.
And who knows, the more that we're interested in going to more haunted locations, and we're asking for like paranormal stuff for Christmas
spirit boxes
and stuff,
on my
and
Christmas
boxes
this year.
So we might actually experience that one day, and
I hope so. I really do hope that one day I can say, yes, I believe in this 100%.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't.
It's hard to say.
Hmm.
So some of the equipment that they provided to us during the tour is a ghost box, which is basically just like a transmitter
Yep,
from like
an
AM
AM.
to FM radio frequencies, right?
Yeah, I think for most of them they're AM
AM?
frequencies
Okay.
so that they're lesser used.
Right. So AM frequencies, and then if a spirit needs to communicate through that, then you can hear it through that.
Yeah,
You'll
it just
hear
kinda
like
constantly
words.
scans the channels and
It's,
you'll hear
yeah.
some audio come through.
Yeah. They also provided dowsing rods, which is something that we do
Blech.
not like to use,
No.
only because it's hard to
There's too much human intervention
correct. Yeah.
to rely reliably on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm not a big fan of dowsing rods.
I'm
I
not
don't
either.
understand.
They're hard to hold too, and it's just like I don't know if I'm doing it or.
Right, because the slightest change in your wrist
Mm-hmm.
can make or break whether it's a yes or a no. And we saw
Right.
that during the end of this investigation when we all circled up.
Yeah. They also provided like little flashlights and like cheap flashlights that and with the flashlight you can turn it off. You can turn it.
You kind of put it right on the brink where
yeah.
a little bit of movement can turn it on, a little bit of
Mhm.
movement can turn it off based on how well the battery is secured, basically.
Right. There are certain flashlights that you can use where a spirit can turn it off and turn it on.
Hmm.
So there's like a tapping sensation or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's all that they used, right? Or all that we were given.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, and then the EMF detectors, obviously.
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much everything.
Yeah. So there was a lot of us. I would say there was probably like 15 of us, I think.
Yeah, I'd say 12 or 15.
Yeah. So we were all split up into groups because they only had a few of the ghost box and the
Yeah, it was like 2
the
sets of
EMF
dowsing rods,
detectors.
one ghost box or spirit box that the guide held on to.
yeah.
I think every group of 2 had a flashlight.
Yeah.
2 or 3.
So we got split up and we went to like certain rooms. We started off in the
Taxidermy room.
taxidermy room, and nothing really happened there. Like we didn't get
No.
any sort of nothing really
Yeah, no.
from that. So we moved on to the Satan room,
Hmm.
satanic room, whatever. I don't know what you want to call it. But we actually got a lot of
Yeah, there was a lot happening, but very little that we could really decipher.
mhm.
I feel like in that room we kept asking, were we talking to a male or a female?
Mhm.
And it kept like switching.
Yeah, it was very weird. And I didn't feel like it was anything bad. Like it's just all of
Yeah.
there's so many spirits in there that it's just kind of hard for them to communicate.
I think there's a lot of items that there's energy tied to the items, and I think that's what really amps it up in some of these rooms more
Yeah.
than others.
Yeah, probably.
So especially in the Mr. Graveface room,
Oh, that was cool.
that one probably had, what would you say, the second most energy out of that experience?
And honestly, it's probably because of the actual like skeleton
Yeah,
remains in
I would
there.
imagine so.
Yeah. I mean, that's
so that
what you
room
would
was
think
really
of.
cool, but still nothing super concrete.
No, I mean, I think we were talking to Mr. Graveface.
Yeah,
I want to say they would respond with yes, like no, or I don't know, just certain phrases like that. I kind of wish we did the Estes method.
the Estes method is definitely on my list. If we
Yeah.
can get our own spirit box,
Mhm.
then I really want to give that a shot just to see.
Yeah.
And we've been hooked on watching a lot of these shows that showcase the Estes method. So Sam and Colby, we've watched them. We've watched, what's the other one? With,
Selena and Chris.
Yes, Selena and Chris.
Mhm.
We've watched them. So we're trying to watch as much as we can and almost kind of try to debunk it for ourselves and not give 100% faith and stock into it. But
Yeah.
again, until we experience it firsthand, it's hard to really
I want to
say
go
one way or
back to the
other.
Conjuring house so bad, and I want to do
too.
an investigation.
I do
Maybe
too.
one day we will.
That would be
But
cool.
we'll do a whole episode of our experience at the Conjuring house, so stay tuned
Might
for
have
that.
to go back to make it fresh.
Yep.
So the last bit of the after hours tour, and paranormal investigation. Where did we end up at the end of the night?
So we ended up in the upstairs room of the Ed Gein house. Well, it's not like a house, but it's like an exhibit. And upstairs, we all sat, like the whole place sat in a seance circle.
Mhm.
And we kind of just took all of our items and placed it in certain places. And we all tried to talk to whoever was willing to come out and communicate with us.
Yeah. And that was kind of, when we say a seance circle, it
Yeah.
sounds more risky than it really was.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we all held hands and said a ritual or said a spell or anything.
No.
It was really just like doing one big introduction circle with a bunch of friends, and then it was like, all right, let's set the spirit box in the middle, and everybody put your flashlights right on the edge and your EMF detectors, and 2 people hold dowsing rods, and we'll ask questions, and we'll see if the answers line up. And at the beginning of this seance circle, they had already talked about, well, yeah, we have some conflicting spirits that sometimes they like to mess with you, and they're almost like a poltergeist type of presence, where they might try to confuse you. So already they've set the pace to where if the dowsing rods don't match up with each other, well, there's a reason for it. So
I
already
just don't trust those darn rods.
And then you also have 10, 15 people in a room all asking questions, and then they're quiet for 2 seconds, and if you don't get a response in 2 seconds, everybody gets impatient and wants to ask another question.
Yeah, so I would recommend if you go on an investigation, go on a small one with like a few people, or just you and your team, or your party and
people
the person
that are going to take it seriously.
Yes,
at least
some
somewhat.
people
Even
don't,
if you're a skeptic, you can still
right.
respect the process.
Yeah, some people just don't take it seriously, and that's when the spirits like to play around with you and kind of like,
yeah. So that was a really cool.
It was interesting.
It was cool to say that we did it. Our first time really using a spirit box and being able to ask the questions. And that's what kind of prompted us to want one for ourselves, because they're not incredibly expensive. I would have guessed they were $200-300+
No, they're really not. And I actually saw, and I think I sent a TikTok of this one to you today, but there's one on TikTok for like $80, and they say it's like really good because it's like really loud, and you can like really hear like
what I really want,
crisp.
And I don't know where to find one. The only place I could really even find it online was in the UK, and it wasn't by somebody that was selling it. It was just talking about it. But it's what Sam and Colby used in their Conjuring House series, and it was the Alice box.
Oh, right.
So in addition to it scanning the AM radio frequencies, this one would actually... It's a ghost hunting tool, so it's very clearly marketed. I don't know that there's another industry that would use it.
Right.
But I think every like 5 or 10 minutes, it will say a specific word that it has not manifested, but it has acquired from the energy and the frequencies.
I get it, yeah.
And it reads it on a display. So it could be like soldier, and then it'll say soldier in like an AI voice.
Yeah.
And
I don't like that though.
I think it's cool because I think it's creepy. But again, I don't know. When I've looked it up, it's pre-programmed with like 500 words that it can say. So I don't know if it's cycling through those 500 words.
That's why I don't like it, because I know. Feel like they would just like...
It's like a random word generator.
Yeah.
With a limited word supply.
That's interesting though.
Yeah. So I want one, but again, I think those are probably $200-300+.
Oh my gosh.
But still cool.
I did also want to mention, not aside from the seance circle, they recently put out cameras to capture some of the crazy stuff that's going on in the museum, and they showed us,
because they've only been doing these late night investigations for a month.
Yeah, they had just started it.
So a lot of these videos are very fresh and recent.
There was one video of, in the middle of the night when nobody was there, the Heaven's Gate TV turning on. There was what
The
was
pinball
the
machines
pinball
started going
machine.
off.
Yeah, so a bunch
Lights
of
would turn on
yeah,
and stay on all night,
yeah.
and then shut off right before somebody got there in the morning.
Yeah,
And they're
just
not
weird
like
stuff.
smart lights. They're not Philips Hue or anything like that. We got to look at them. They were normal incandescent bulbs, the old
Yeah.
school.
So weird stuff.
Yes.
Definitely haunted, but you know, that's for everyone to decide on their own.
Yes. So, what were your favorite exhibits in the museum and why?
So I really like the Ed Gein exhibit because I think it was built well and just nicely displayed. It's really cool to enter it because you're actually looks like you're entering into a house, and there's just a bunch of like they have like the table or no the chair and then the lampshade made out of skin. Obviously it's not this like the real one, but they'll like tell you about like the skin and the
Yeah.
if it's
So,
fake and
to kind of shed more light on that, since we're talking about it,
okay.
in that room there is a chair and there is a lamp. Which
Yes.
one is fake and which one is real in the actual story of Ed Gein? Do you remember?
So the actual one is the lampshade.
False.
Really?
Yep. So the chair was real because if you were to walk into his house, it looked like a normal leather chair.
Okay.
Because if you take human skin,
and
it's
that's
just
right. But he didn't have any hair or anything on it.
no. It was
just
it was like a
skin.
leather, like dried out skin chair.
And this is where the term or like the story of like Leatherface.
There's a
and
lot of
a
stories
lot of
based
them.
on it. So
Yeah.
the lampshade is fake.
Okay.
That was something that came about more in the Leatherface movies or Buffalo Bill or things like that. So a few of the horror icons that are based on Ed Gein kind of loosely or very directly is Norman Bates. They didn't talk
Psycho.
about this one yet.
Oh.
That aspect was a little smaller. It was more about the small town gossip of you'd never know if there was a monster living next door.
Oh, and I get it because he was a mama's boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. So Norman Bates,
Interesting.
Leatherface, like you mentioned from Texas Chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
That one was more about the obvious mutilation that happened.
And he was a cannibal,
Hmm,
right? Ed Gein was a cannibal.
I don't remember, but I want to say you're right.
I think he was.
So Buffalo Bill, Silence of the Lambs. That one to me is the most direct.
All I can
Because
think
he
of,
used the whole skin decor.
all I can think of is Joe Dirt.
Yeah.
It put the lotion on its skin.
And then the scene that they show in the Ed Gein exhibit as a recreation is what they put in the Terrifier movie.
Oh,
where,
right.
to give a very broad overview of the scene, it's if you've seen Terrifier, it's a girl hanging upside down, and she is sawed in half, halfway through the length of her body. And it is very graphic and very gruesome.
Yeah, it's
But allegedly,
gross.
the Terrifier scene was a very similar depiction as to what they actually found in Ed Gein's house when they arrested him.
Oh my God! Can you
So
imagine?
incredibly graphic. But if you want to see that, it's in the Ed Gein exhibit.
They did a really. I mean, they did say that it's bad, but it's not as bad as what it actually was.
Right.
Like they
Yeah,
kind of made
the
it.
actual events were way worse.
Ugh, that makes my stomach crawl.
And
thinking
again, most
about
of the evidence was in a fire, so like it's incredible.
crazy.
And a lot of it was it couldn't even be used in court anyways because it was obtained against police processes. So it's almost like it wouldn't have mattered.
It's so crazy.
Yep.
But,
so that was
yeah.
your favorite.
Yeah, I really liked that one. It's just the whole case in itself is interesting. We could probably have like a whole episode on it. I would
Yeah.
love to watch another documentary about it. Just to learn more, not to like, make him more famous than he is or was, but you know what I mean.
So my favorite exhibits past the Ed Gein, because that one was probably the most emotionally impactful.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it was a tie between the John Wayne Gacy and the Anton LaVey rooms.
Yeah, I figured you were going to say that.
So the John Wayne Gacy one, to me, I think it was incredible to look at the paintings and try to imagine what's going through his head sitting in jail. And I would imagine a serial killer would only have darkness and dark thoughts and a lot of that sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
But he was somehow able to almost compartmentalize that and paint Disney scenes
So strange.
and paint work for people that wanted to interview him.
Yeah, and he was actually really good. Like,
He was super talented, and they said he didn't start painting
I
until
know.
he was in jail.
right. That's
And he did
crazy.
Bob Ross stuff, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm, he did, yeah.
So yeah, really, really talented artist.
Yeah.
He probably should have stuck to that as a hobby, but whatever.
Yeah.
So the Anton LaVey
Murdering.
one, I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about it because I already think it's going to rub people the wrong way. That was
Yeah.
one of my favorite rooms.
Not for those reasons.
No, it's
though.
not because we agree with their beliefs,
Mm-mm.
but I know people that do subscribe to this belief system. It doesn't make me like them any less.
Yeah.
It's super interesting to have
They're still good people.
genuine conversations with them about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't typically shy away from having the discussion of, all right, well, your beliefs are there, mine are here. At the end of the day, their thoughts are, be a good person, treat people with respect, no matter what.
Yeah, and there are so many people that believe this, and that doesn't mean that they worship Satan. So you have to
Right.
think about
It simply
that, and you
means
have
that they're
to
questioning what might be real and what might not.
right. And it was the whole Satan worshiping thing was kind of like a joke.
Yeah,
Like
they were anti-religion, and
Right.
then the media took it and said, "So does that mean you worship Satan?" And they're like,
Whatever.
"All right, yeah, sure." And
If you-
then
yeah.
that's
If you want to call it that, whatever.
right, because to them they don't believe there is a God, they don't believe there is a devil.
Yeah.
So for them, they're not actually worshiping any being, positive or negative,
No.
dark or light. They just go, to us, there's not enough evidence to say one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they draw their own line. And again, that's only specific to the Anton LaVey denomination, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But there are other sects of Satanism that may believe differently. I don't know.
Mhm. And
I've never
don't get me
researched
wrong,
any of those.
I'm sure there are people in this world that do worship Satan,
Oh,
and
sure.
those are the type of people that you don't really want to associate with. But
I think you
I'm
can
sure
have
they could. I'm
honest
sure there's.
conversations.
Yeah, you can still have honest conversations with them and still try to get
Yeah,
them
they
to
don't
a
deserve
different
any
place.
less respect.
No,
Again, just like this.
right?
I'll have a conversation with anybody
Yeah, me
just
too.
to learn about what their perspective is.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like there's anything wrong with having that discussion. I know where my faith lies. I'm not trying to convert anybody, but I do enjoy having honest conversations.
Mm-hmm. And maybe.
And if I can help give more of a perspective into what my beliefs are without condemning them for anything that they believe, then who knows? Maybe that's an open door for their beliefs to change.
Right, and that's
You
why
never
that's why it's important to be friends with people who
Don't
are
always share the same beliefs.
right that don't share the same beliefs as you, because you could be, and I listened to this today, and I'm not preaching or anything like this, but you could be the only Bible that they read in their life.
Yeah.
And so you may want to make it a good one.
hmm
So just food for thought.
Yeah. To end the episode on a happier note,
Yeah.
I have a trivia question for you.
Ooh, I'm excited. I'm probably going to get it wrong.
What was John Wayne Gacy's clown persona?
Oh my gosh. Was it Giggles?
It was not Giggles.
Ugh.
It's a 4-letter word.
Oh, Bo.
It was not Bobo, but that's a good guess.
Bogo?
It was Pogo, like a pogo stick.
It was so close.
That was really good.
Pogo, whatever.
Pogo, Bobo, pretty close.
Ugh, weird.
All right, and with that, that's all I've got in my notes. You got anything else?
No, I think I'm good. Yeah, very interesting place. Definitely recommend going if you are in the Savannah area. They also, I will mention that they have a Graveface record shop in the Starland district of Savannah. So check them out. They have some awesome things in there as well. And yeah, so thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep checking back for new episodes.
Yep.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.